stay gone away. When you're not around, I feel amazed.
Michael Brown, that was an Akata. His daddy is an Akata. And it's a shame, because his dad, so he was just like destined. I always said any celebratory come Guzzler Harris by these mammies is all fake and phony. Because if any of these mammies supported that whore.
Nation, one nation, but joy cometh in the
Come on,
morning.
Joe!
We will get through this.
We gonna get through this together, y'all.
Together.
Ooh, Joe, we gonna get through this together. Oh yeah. No, y'all ain't even considered. Y'all ain't even in the vote. What's up, everyone? I'm Axel of Axetruth.com, and this is the Axetruth channel, and the knows, and this is where I cut through the bullshit, and we have another race hoax. Ooh-wee. See, the racist supply, the supply and demand is off here. The demand for racism is high, but the supply is low. So what do? We have to make it up and create it. And there's a reason why all this is going on right now, and why it's in the Bagel on Bagel on Media News. I'm pretty sure you have already guessed it. In my next video, I'm gonna go more into that, but I'm gonna hit it at the last part of this video. So all video, sound, and music used during this broadcast falls under fair use, and fair use is allowed for the purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe on copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Now let's get into it. Now we have a race hoax. Racism. You know, this racism always happens in, blue cities. Where there's liberals. I don't even know why you shines don't even get this. This shit ain't happening in Alabama. I don't understand why they don't set this up. But see, they don't set it up in Alabama. They don't set it up in Tennessee. Because there are lots of different components that go into these setups that push these type of narratives so it can make the news. And my next story I'll go more into that, because there was no reason for the story. The next story I'm going to talk about to make the news, other than it's behind the agenda, what this is. We're only in February. We got more months to go, and more race hoax, and more racial this and racial that, and race. And it's just, the Bagels hadn't learned that it's not working. They have played that card too much. Y'all have overplayed your hand with it, and black people are not falling for it. It's a very small minority of black people that are falling for that shit. But the rest of them, they're kind of getting tired of it. But anyway, out here in Sacremento, where I had my job transferred me out there, but I didn't move to Sacramento. I'm so glad I didn't. But, Sacramento, California, McClatchy High School, the black female painted some racial graffiti. Now, I just want to just say this before we get into the story. When did graffiti become a hate crime? When did that become a crime as other than its vandalism? I remember as far back as elementary school going into the boys' bathroom and saying, I hate niggers, or crackers suck, or just always something written in the bathroom, scribbled with a pen or something. And I didn't run out of there saying, oh, I saw her sign and it scared me. I saw a noose. No, that never happened. It didn't happen in elementary school, never happened in junior high school, never happened in high school, in middle school or high school. Graffiti is graffiti. It doesn't scare anybody. It doesn't hurt anybody. No matter how much the Bagel on News want to make you think, if you see a KKK written, which the KKK don't even exist anymore. It only exists on television when they bring out a set of actors, crisis actors, pretending to be the Klan. It doesn't matter. The KKK have not done anything to anybody, any shines in my lifetime. I haven't seen any of it. I'm friends with a former KKK Grand Wizard, so I know. I interviewed him. So this shit, KKK doesn't scare black people. That's just some made up TV Hollywood shit. Now, here we got this story, and then they bring up Jim Crow. Now, I'm gonna say this: these high school kids don't know anything about that era or anything about it. So, why would they do this unless I feel like someone? See, I'm coming to you. I look at these stories from outside the matrix, and I'm pretty sure that this is something that this child was told to do by all the boomer blacks that's in the NAACP that need something to go out and scream on the microphone to seem relevant. You know, all the black activists, they need something so they can activate and be activists. So they plan these things. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and jump out here and say this was all coordinated, okay?
We are investigating. What we want is consequences.
It's always some loud ass shine, some lines shine, fat stepping fetch. Look at this. Look at this. And look at his hair. What kind of shit is this? One of them church buzzards.
Sac City schools hit repeatedly with racist vandalism. Thanks for staying with us at 5:30. I'm Curtis Mack.
Racist vandalism. I mean, there's racist vandalism all over the country. In every bathroom at a truck stop is something written on the bathroom walls, racist. Blacks write it. White people write it. Somebody writes it. Nobody runs out the bathroom screaming and no, there's racist writing on the. I think I should do that one day. See if I make the news. Okay, now there's an awkward silence here because let me go ahead and go for it because I don't know what they were doing. They was queuing, waiting on. Okay, and see, look there. It was. I went. Okay, it took that long that the news people sat there. Then it went there. I guess they was trying to. Okay, it's your turn. You speak. You speak. You know, this is all manufactured, but let's get into it.
Last Friday, someone wrote the words white and colored over water fountains here at McClatchy High School, obviously a reference to the Jim Crow era.
That tells you right there, going into this story, that this is something manufactured. The girl who did it probably was, she was instructed to do this. White and colored. Why would a child in high school in 2022 even use the word colored? I mean, and that has never been used in her lifetime, you know, but she's going to write white and colored. That's exactly what this is, manufactured. But let's get into it.
Tonight, we're learning the district is disciplining the student involved, but it stopped short of calling it racial hatred or a hate crime. Now, the district hired someone to oversee race and equity, which includes investigating racial incidents. Mark Harris tells me a black female student confessed to the vandalism, and the investigation shows her on camera.
Now, let's look at this right here where it says, you see, it's written colored and white by two Fort water fountains. So I guess that this frighten the school? Did everybody want to go out and protest and leave class because of the racism? I mean, really, white and colored. I mean, look how she wrote it. I mean, this is so manufactured, but it is what it is.
Tells me the student said she did it as a prank. Now, this is a sensitive topic for so many because Sac City Unified School District has been plagued with racial incidents. The most recent includes students seeing several buildings at Abraham Lincoln Elementary School tagged with hate symbols and the N-word. The N.
This shit always happens in blue cities in an election year. But let's keep going.
NAACP and community activists say they want to meet with the district to talk about how it can support black students through these events. Meanwhile,
the NAACP still wants to meet with them and talk about how they can support black students through these incidences. But this incident was done by a black female. There's nothing to support. See how they still, you can tell, I believe the NAACP was behind this. I really do. I don't believe that I believe they constructed all of this. And they probably thought that she wouldn't get caught or whatever, or told her to go admit it. And you'll see how they almost get upset because they investigated it and found out that the girl did it. It was a black girl who did it. Now, it was a black girl who wrote this racial hate, that's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. It's a crime now. What's the charge? But they're not going to charge this black girl with that. But if it was a white person who actually did this as a joke, would it be considered a joke? No, it wouldn't. See, this is how you know this was manufactured.
Support black students through these events. Meanwhile, the district refers to the McClatchy incident as troubling vandalism.
I don't believe that those words that were on those water fountains were racist. I do not believe they were hate crime or hate speech.
A black girl did it. It's not a hate crime. It's not hate speech because a black girl wrote it.
Part of it, quite honestly, is because the admitted perpetrator is an African-American young woman. I disagree at it being a hate crime because at the end of the day, we understand when you have colored on one water faucet and white on another kind of water faucet, what that means.
Okay, well, it doesn't mean anything because a black girl wrote it. It doesn't mean a damn thing. No, there are no white water fountains. There are no colored water fountains. So what is this Sambo sitting here talking about with these braids that start way back here? You need to don't do that. You get alopecia. It's not helping you. It's a church buzzard. With the NAACP church buzzards.
Faucet and white on another kind of water faucet, what that means. Whether it's 1950 or 2022.
They gotta have a job. They gotta have a cause. They gotta be out there in front of the microphone.
However, some activists question the evidence, citing mistrust of the district's handling of racism in the past. And I did ask if there had been any movement with the Abraham Lincoln case, and I've heard so far there's been no progress yet.
Is there any movement with the Abraham Lincoln case? You know, some KKK was written on the elementary school wall. What you gonna do? You telling me that the police, with everything that's going on and real crime, you know, violent crime, murders that are unsolved, that they have time to go and investigate some scribble scrabble on a wall, some KKK written, and try to figure out who wrote it to prosecute someone for a hate crime. This is all manufactured, something for the media to talk about race, to divide the population and say, ooh, look, there's some racism. There's no racism here at all. This was all done by the people that needs race, the Democrats. The Democratic Party, the NAACP, because that group is no longer needed. The National Association of Always Complaining People, they have never advanced colors. It was started by the Bagels. They don't do anything. They just sit up and collect a check, but they need to get in front of the microphone and scream and yell so they can be seem like they're relevant. That's what this is.
Details about the investigations into 3 recent cases of racist graffiti found at some Sacramento City Unified schools.
Last week, you might remember we told you about some markings that said white and colored, and they were written over the water fountains at McClatchy High School. Well, the school district now tells us an African-American sophomore student at McClatchy has confessed to writing those words. The case has now been turned over to the district attorney's office, and they will decide if the student should face any charges.
And I'm going to say this. Yes, she should face charges. You know, there should be hard charges that comes down to these race hoax. There's a website dedicated to race hoaxes, and they're done over and over and over again. And the culprits seem to just get away with it. Justice Smollett still has not been sentenced. And here we have another black girl doing this, and they all are doing it all over the place, lying about, making up things about race. And someone can get hurt behind it, but they never get prosecuted. She should be prosecuted and charged with a hate crime, since it's a hate crime when a white person does it. But this is a black female who did it. I don't care if it was a joke or what. They need to prosecute to stop this type of shit. But they're not, because it's in blue states and it's an election year.
Days after the vandalism with the fountains, the school district said on Tuesday that it found more racist graffiti, this time along an outside wall at Abraham Lincoln Elementary School.
And back in November, a derogatory slur was found on West Campus High School, written multiple times near the vice principal's parking spot. KCRA 3's
A derogatory slur. I mean, and that's on the news. They don't have anything to report. Just, oh, a slur. What did that do? All these writings, do they hurt anyone? Did someone go to the hospital? What happened? No, nothing. This is all racial propaganda during an election year.
Randy Cummings spoke to the district's community liaison about the cases and what he wants to see happen to the students.
The CK McClatchy situation is heartbreaking on a number of different levels.
Sacramento City Unified School District Race and Equity Liaison Attorney Mark Harris reacting to the most recent case of racist graffiti found at a district school.
I didn't even know that was a job. He's a race and equity liaison in Sacramento, a blue state, not the South. They have a problem with race and equity up there.
As KCRA 3 has reported, last week, markings that read white and colored were written over water fountains at McClatchy High School. Harris told me an African-American student confessed to doing it.
I think that this was a prank. It's a prank that went sideways. It's an unfortunate prank. It does not seem to be an example of any kind of a hate crime. It's not an example, in my opinion, of any kind of a racist behavior pattern. It was a prank.
But that soft...
It was a prank. How was it a prank? If it was such a prank, why didn't she just own up to it from the beginning? Why did it escalate to get this high? She got caught. That's what it was.
Our student could face being expelled from school and possibly even be arrested, although that's not something Harris wants to see.
Of course he doesn't want it to see. He doesn't want that to happen. She's black. If this would have been a white person who said, "Oh, I did it as a prank," do you think he'd be would not want that person expelled from school and prosecuted? You see how the double standard here, and then you see how what makes me to believe that this is a contrived, manufactured story. That girl was coerced into doing this. That's not something she just thought of on her own.
School and possibly even be arrested, although that's not something Harris wants to see.
Well, they need to be punished. They need to be punished within a reasonable realm. But at some point, this is a teachable moment.
A teachable moment because according to Harris, who has firsthand knowledge of the case, the high schooler didn't even understand the history attached to the words.
It was most distressing that the young woman who put the two words over the water fountains was not aware of the significance of that. Genuinely. Was not.
Of course she didn't. Didn't I say that earlier? And I didn't even know he was going to even say this. I said that colored and white, why would she put that there? How would she know anything about that? They don't even really teach that in school. She was she was told to do this, and she got caught, so she confessed. And I believe all of these people are in on it, and now they're trying to soft shoe it and make it seem like, oh, she didn't know, she just did it as a prank.
The two words over the water fountains, was not aware of the significance of that. Genuinely was not aware.
But the incident at McClatchy is only one of 3 current investigations underway, both by the district and law enforcement. The investigation process for the other incidents is being called into question by the NAACP. They wrote this statement that reads in part, quote, "The investigation process is not fair, as evident by the swift investigation and closure of the CK McClatchy incident, where the perpetrators are allegedly black."
You see that? The NAACP said it seems that the S is protecting them from prosecution. I mean, it's not fair because the person who did it is black. You see right here it says it's not fair. The evidence by a swift investigation. They did it so quickly, and she's black. See, they're behind it. Just like I said, the NAACP. They're behind it. I'm pretty sure that girl is related to somebody that worked there. They needed something. It's an election year. They need race to be the forefront. The Democratic Party needs it. all these race stories, things that are making the news that shouldn't even make the news. This shouldn't be on the news at all. There is a reason for it. It's an election year. It's called election year racial propaganda.
Of the CK McClatchy incident where the perpetrators are allegedly black. Meanwhile, the perpetrators of the hate crimes at West Campus are still at large, and it seems the SCUSD is protecting them from prosecution.
So, the perpetrators of the West Campus are still at large. No, that the perpetrators of the West Campus is whoever they told to go do that to the West Campus. See, that's what this is. They're still at large somewhere. They're killers. Go look it up. Go investigate. A waste of taxpayer money used to investigate graffiti. I'm going to call it graffiti, not even vandal. Graffiti. Useless, harmless graffiti. I don't care what racial thing they put on it. I don't care if they put a swastika there. That's just harmless. It didn't hurt anybody. You know, and this was something that was manufactured. That girl was told to do this.
So we get criticized, the district gets criticized for taking too long in that instance. And here's a situation where the whole matter was resolved within 2 weeks and the district gets criticized for that.
As for the case at Lincoln, Harris says it's a multi-layered police investigation currently underway.
We've got Elk Grove Police, we've got Sacremento Sheriffs, we have our own internal investigation. All of those things are moving forward together right now, but it will take some time.
And the investigation into the case on West Campus was delayed by the pandemic, school closures, and the holidays.
There were a number of interviews of witnesses and potential perpetrators over the past few days. Hopefully we'll come to a conclusion on that investigation internally as the district.
In Sacramento, I'm Brandy Cummings, KCRA.
There are multiple witnesses and everything. You know what it is? You know, there are cameras. There's surveillance cameras and everything almost everywhere. And, you know, this is manufactured. You know, when, you know, you have the police, all these multi-layers of law enforcement investigating investigating graffiti. You know, are they going to go through the town, through Sacramento, and investigate every piece of graffiti that's written, everything that's written on any wall, building, or anywhere, and try to find out who did it? No, they're not. This is nothing but election year racial propaganda, and it's starting and it's happening in all blue cities. Put your comments below. Tell me what you think about this graffiti, this colored and white fountain written by the black female who's not going to be charged with a hate crime, but it was called a hate crime until she admitted that she did it. And I think she probably admitted it because they probably found a videotape somewhere showing her doing it. And she had to admit it and then say it was a joke. Put your comments below. Tell me what you think about this. But it is election year. Racial propaganda. This is what the Democrats need. They need racism. And the NAACP and all these other little race pimps and race hustlers so they can say America is such a racist country. They have to manufacture racism because the supply is so short, but the demand is very high.
The one world government, you can't make war with that. Why? There's no government to go against it. It consumes the world, but not God's elect. This is where you got to understand, and this is why you got to have strong faith, is to know as long as God is with you, who can be against you? Nobody. As long as you are armed with the sword of the Lord, the truth, and you understand what's happening in the world, God protects you. You and He make a majority, and you can count on that. You can believe it.